Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got Nicole with us today, who is one of the past Bloom students, Bloom graduates. She's been through hell of a journey with me, with Bloom Community, and previously also did fundamentals, I believe. So Nicole is here to share her story with us. So without further ado, over to you. If you can perhaps just tell us a little bit more about your story, what happened that you started to look for help, and yeah, everything basically that happened before you found me.
No worries. So I actually can't remember when it was. It was where I did Bloom last year, so it was previous year,
Hmm.
which would have been 2023. Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I do a lot of training. I do a lot of cycling. I like to do a lot of endurance events. Before that, I was a runner until I didn't like running and I getting injured. So cycling is much safer for me. But I like to challenge my body a lot and just to see how far I can go. So I was
Mm.
doing a lot of training for an upcoming event and started to feel a bit off. Um, Googled stuff as you do. And I actually thought my symptoms were from overtraining
Uh-huh.
because it's
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very similar to actually what was the thyroid condition. And it was one day I was speaking to my friend, and she said her friend had got tested for an overactive thyroid, and it would
Hmm.
maybe be something to look into. And it had never crossed my mind because why would you think about your thyroid being the first thing that would be an issue?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so
Exactly.
yeah, never even entered my head. So I actually did a at-home blood test for like an NHS approved one just to see.
Yeah.
So there's no point. It's such a nightmare to get appointments with doctors. So
Mm.
point in going and them saying, actually, no, we're not going to send you for a blood test because there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Um, so I was the best. I know it's not a great thing, but I was able to eat so many carbs and I was losing weight. I was
Mm.
like, oh, this is great. I'm loving this.
Yes, the upside of hyper is
Yeah, yeah, was
the
yeah, it was
to
that.
to
But
to
there
the
was
point, right?
yeah, to the point, yeah. It wasn't until afterwards my friends were like, yeah, you looked a little bit odd and drawn in. But I was like, oh, thanks for telling me after the fact. But I was losing weight. I was really anxious, which is not, I'm
Mm.
not an anxious person. But the most worrying thing for me, which because I keep a track of because I do a lot of sport,
Yeah.
is my heart rate. So my resting heart rate is normally around 43, 44.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and my resting heart rate had gone up to 70 to 80.
Ah,
Even when I took my work laptop and I lay on my bed and didn't move for an hour and it didn't go down. I was like, that's disturbing.
yeah,
So
and very common, like one of the
yeah,
hallmark, right,
that
symptoms.
was the
Right.
the most worrying thing for me
Mm.
because I would be lying in bed at night and I could feel my heartbeat racing and I was like,
Mm.
oh, this is not normal.
Not normal. Mm.
So I did the blood test and it came back and it gave me all these numbers, which didn't mean
Yeah,
anything to me, but it
yeah,
did
yeah.
say contact your GP immediately because you have this condition. So phone the
Yeah.
doctor, and because I had the results, gave them the things, they sent me for blood tests. I think within maybe 2 days, so it was super quick.
Yeah.
Um, and then when it came back, I think she phoned me. She said, "We'll give it a couple of weeks, and then we'll phone you with the results." Just the normal, but she phoned within. So I got the results in the morning, and she phoned by 6 o'clock that night to say
All
it's
right.
quite serious.
Yeah.
It's like, so when the doctor's actually phoning you back really quickly, that there's obviously, I wasn't lying, that this is actually what's
Oh.
happened. So it was quite quick. I feel weirdly lucky that I got
Mm.
it really early. Um,
Yeah.
because obviously with being in Bloom, there's stories of people who've had it for years before they were diagnosed. So I feel super lucky that I was able to catch it so
Yeah.
quickly,
Yeah.
and then start a treatment. Obviously went on beta blockers and some other drug that I cannot pronounce
Oh,
for
carbamazole, yeah,
yeah,
the one that thyroid suppressing medic
yeah,
for
that
anyone
one.
who's listening. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, and it's very effective, I would say, for a lot of people, but it's got a whole host of side effects. So
yeah, so
yeah.
it kind of worked for me for a little bit,
Mm,
um, and then I got a really sore throat and I got a lump on the front of my
mm,
neck. So I phoned the doctors, went had to get like daily blood tests, and I was reacting badly to that medication for Graves' disease. So went to the hospital, many hospital visits, and it came down to two options, either getting my thyroid removed, which I thought was very, a little bit
Yeah.
too intrusive and a bit dramatic, or having radio iodine treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went for the iodine treatment
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
to control it.
Mm-hmm.
I felt at that time really rushed into that decision because I literally had to make it within a couple of hours, and I didn't feel like I had. Yeah, so I had the hospital appointment in the morning, and by the time I'd actually got back home, about 40 minutes, the doctor had phoned and said, "We've had your recent results in. You
Yeah.
need to get this now, basically. So you need
Maybe
to make this decision now."
I'm thinking it could have been that the levels were so high that it was such a emergency because Graves can be a medical emergency essentially because it, like you've
Yeah.
noticed, it affects your heart rate and everything else in the body. Because usually there is just a bit more space to make the decision. A lot of people are still very much pushed into making this decision, but there is more space. And I think because you didn't respond well to the medication, that's why they had to do something else. And yeah, but it's still crazy to me that you have to make a decision like
It
this.
was, yeah, it was so fast. I definitely felt
Mhm.
rushed, and obviously I had no choice. I had to pick one of them, and I
Yeah,
didn't want to go for surgery because I felt that was kind of the end. Then you have nothing to work with. If you get
yeah,
your thyroid removed, then that's it.
yeah.
Um,
Yes, yes, absolutely.
yeah,
And I agree. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So went for the iodine treatment, and that worked. Took a couple of months for it to be a little bit normal, and then obviously was fine, and then it then started to dip lower. So I then went the opposite way, and went into yeah,
Hypo, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So then went into that, and that's when things start to get a little bit rubbish
Mm,
because I put on the weight that I lost annoyingly, and then a lot more weight.
yeah.
And I started to stop going to the gym, stop cycling. I was just kind of getting a little bit fed up with it all because nothing I was looking at was helping. I
Yeah.
would, food wise, exercise, nothing made a difference, and I just felt really, really rubbish. So I started looking through internet to see natural remedies and all this kind of stuff. And so much information and so much stuff that is just totally contradicting one thing you read on one site to something you read on another site. I was like, this is so hard.
Yeah.
So I kept going for a couple of months on my own. And then one day I thought, I'm going to look at Instagram because I don't really go on Facebook,
Yes,
just
no,
to see if there's anything for thyroid. And then you popped up. So I was like, oh, well, I'll give her a go. I'll see. There was a lot of American ones. And I was like,
yeah,
I don't want some American woman
yeah.
speak.
It's
But
very different. Mm.
yeah. So I was like, well, you seemed like you knew what you were doing. So I started following you. And the time that I followed you was you had the fundamentals course.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it was the live one, no? Because I think
Yeah,
I did it for the when I first launched it. I launched it live.
yeah,
It's
it
now
was like
yeah,
November time or something,
yeah, yeah,
a couple of years ago. So I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And yeah, and that was probably one of the best decisions to start me on the proper thyroid recovery journey, because it just made so much more sense to have somebody who understood and could tell you things, and you could ask you questions without bombarding yourself and misinformation and just feeling kind of overwhelmed by everything a lot.
mm,
Um, and then doing that, I ended up being able to start going back to the gym and start exercising and just feeling an awful lot better about myself again.
yeah.
Because it was, yeah, for a couple of months, it was pretty dark and miserable.
Mm.
And then I gave myself a little talking to, and I was like, nope, you're not going to let this beat you. You're going to have to just get on with it and figure something out because it's not, I don't want to live the rest of my life in this state because it's just miserable.
Uh,
Um,
a lot of women speak to that, and obviously it's my experience also that the way hypothyroidism, and because hyper is such a it's so quick and like it also has the ability to do it, but it's more like a transient condition. Whereas with hypo, it's something that's meant to stay for life, and at the same time it affects your you being you and your life so much you kind of lose that hold on yourself and you lose that identity, and it's crazy. Like it's so many women report exactly the same thing, that like I've lost myself, like I don't know who I am
yeah,
anymore with this condition.
you just feel like you've lost control
Yeah,
because nothing seems to make any difference to how you feel.
yeah,
And
yeah,
because you're not getting, literally, you go to the doctors, you get your medication, and that's it. They don't care.
yeah,
You don't get any support from them. There's nothing out there that can help you from the NHS. Once they do your blood tests and give you medication, they're like, right, we'll see you next week.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And there is just like literally zero hope that there is something that can change. Like if you haven't improved with medication, that means that it's something else or it's in your head, but it's because your thyroid is fine now, right? Because the
Yeah,
labs are normal. So yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's yeah, very again another very shared right experience between
yeah,
like
totally.
literally everyone. So with fundamentals, you started noticing small changes, right? And then at some point you've decided that you want to do some deeper work, and then that's when you
Yeah.
joined Bloom.
So did fundamentals, and then you were sending out stuff about Bloom, and I was
Hmm.
joined the waitlist. Had a wee chat with you about that at the beginning of last year before we joined. And it's not a decision I regret at all. I mean, it's does cost a bit, but it's
Mm,
totally worth it. You're investing in your health. I mean, why would you even consider not doing that?
yeah.
You can't not. It's your health, it's your life. You've just got to take that plunge and go for it. And it's absolutely the best thing I've ever done.
Mm,
Um, and the community that you created in Bloom is just fantastic. Everyone's just so helpful, and yeah, it's a brilliant program, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who's thinking about it. Just do it, because there's what's the point?
yeah.
You can't live your life being miserable and trying to do it on your own, because it's so hard. So if there's somebody there that can support you through this journey, then take it, do it. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, thanks for saying that because I feel when I look at back in my own journey and how long I've been trying to do it myself, it's like everyone just looks at me as this like, this example of how it's possible, but actually it took me very many years to figure it out myself because I didn't have someone who would like literally take my hand and show me what's working, what's not working. And
Yeah,
I definitely didn't know anyone who would be going through the same thing. So I just feel with Bloom, exactly what you said. I just think the power lies in, of course, what I teach and you implementing it. But I think a lot of it is just from being in this environment with other women who get you, who are also doing the same thing. So
yeah.
they can relate to you, you can relate to them, they can share their stories, support you. I just like, I think this is like 50% of the
Yeah.
healing that happens in Bloom happens
It
because of
is, yeah.
that. Mm,
And then you obviously you talk about the nervous system and self-regulation and food, and obviously these are all things that you don't actually think about doing yourself because
yeah,
you don't know how. So having somebody to help you work this out, and then obviously everything that you give us is super helpful, but it doesn't work for everybody. So I've
mm,
just picked ones that I like and that work for me.
mm.
And yeah, that's what I've been doing. So I really, 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 and it's the simplest thing, and it's probably one of the first ones you taught us, is the sigh breathing.
Yeah, yeah, the
Super simple, but it
physiological side.
totally works.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, it really works. So that's probably and it's the smallest thing that you told us about, and I think it's great. I use it a lot.
absolutely. Yeah, no, me too. Like it's just such a small little, I don't know, it's just like you teach your body how to do it automatically, and then whenever you stress, you just go into that way of
Yeah.
breathing. It's so effective. Absolutely. So yeah, so tell us about your how what has changed. So what improvements you started noticing, how quickly they happened. Yeah, what was your experience in Bloom?
So I was always into savory breakfast, so that wasn't really an issue for me. But just being able to, because I read a lot of things about not eating broccoli or not eating this or not
Oh
eating
yeah,
that.
yeah, the
Just
whole myth of
oh,
cruciferous vegetables.
yeah, so this was really bad for you. So knowing that I could still eat normal food was really good. And also the recipes that you provide are super tasty and so simple to cook that there's great, and you feel like you're nourishing your body at the same time.
Yeah,
So yeah, the food thing was good. And just knowing that, yeah, just everything in moderation with that is I have food allergies anyway, so it was good to have different things to cook as well,
yeah,
which
absolutely.
helped. So yeah, taking that away completely, still using your recipes. Um,
Yeah, good.
Red light therapy, that's good.
Mm,
I do that
yeah.
as well. So I find that really relaxing.
Mm,
It's
yeah, me too. It's such a yeah, like a self-care routine now.
yeah. So I know that is quite expensive to get, but once you have it, it's you always have it.
Mm, yeah,
So it scares
absolutely.
the dog, but it's fine. She's like, "What are you doing?" So
Yeah, but you can honestly like I always talk to so many people about this like thyroid, not thyroid, and so many people have started doing despite giving you looks to start with and like your partners and family kind of looking at you like what are you doing? Um I think it's just a great tool for everyone like
Yeah,
regardless and
yeah.
animals like like, it's great. My cats love
Yeah.
it. Oh, that's really good.
But
And in
yeah,
terms
and
of sorry, go on.
sorry, and it was just like setting boundaries with some people, which is
Oh.
hard to do, but it is really good for your mental health as well. I had to set boundaries with a couple of friends who were just like invasive all the time and just dumping their problems on
Yeah.
me, but not really caring what I was going through. So I had to be a little bit strong on that one, and it's just made such a difference. It's really hard to do, but it's worth it again.
Absolutely. Yeah, the relationship side of healing and like really getting in touch with your values and what's important and then conveying that to your closer ones and your friends and sometimes even like like professional relationships at work can be like it's instrumental. It must happen if we really want to create that space to be able to heal essentially. So that's really good. And in terms of if you were to think about your symptoms, so the biggest issues that you've mentioned. So, whether it's the kind of anxiety or the fatigue or the weight gain, like when have you started noticing the improvements and what has happened? Like what tangible things you could.
So the weight gain, I lost all the weight that I'd gained during Bloom actually as well. Because I was going back to gym twice a week, I was back to cycling, I was just in a much better headspace,
Mm,
and I felt much better in myself,
yeah.
and I was able to just go back to being me on the bike. I could go out and cycle 20 miles without thinking about it, because that was my concern. That's one of the things I said to you at the start was how do I get back to being able to be an endurance athlete without compromising anything? And I'm there.
Mm,
Um, so big tours last year, long day rides, and yeah, no side effects, and felt
yeah.
fantastic every time I got off the bike. So to me, that was my main aim.
Absolutely.
And yeah, made it. So I'm super happy.
And I remember when you were prepping for that race, and I was just like, everyone was cheering you on in Bloom. And
Yeah.
it's just like, like she'll do it, she'll do it, she'll do it. We're going to send her all the
Yeah.
all the energy and all of this. And then you were like, absolutely. Because I have to say, I was just a tiny little bit concerned when you told me what it entails, because
Yeah.
it's such a endurance
Yeah.
contest, right? Like it's like you have to be in like top shape. So I was just like, because of course, I worry probably too much, but and I was just like, like fingers crossed, everything goes well. And then you were just like absolutely fine. Like now, like I remember you reported how you feeling and what was it like, and you were just like, recovered well.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was huge. And I know for a lot of people with thyroid, they are worried about doing sport or doing
Mm,
too much. And I think if you already do it, it's not as big an issue, but you can still do it. You don't need to stop your life just because you have a thyroid condition. You can still continue modified a little bit until your body gets back used to it, but
mm.
you you shouldn't need to stop because of that.
Yeah, you can still live your life and be yourself, right? And
Yeah,
do the things that you love.
yeah,
Because I think that's a lot of the times the worry that I see, and it makes sense because so many people like literally cannot continue like they used to, right? They cannot do the same things. But I really truly believe, and I've seen it so many times, just for myself, but people I worked with, like yourself, like how you really can. So it's not like this is past life and this is new life. There isn't this like before and after. Like you can be the same person and enjoy the same things and at the same time just like even in some areas like upgrade. I really really believe that this condition in general can be a little bit of a catalyst, right? Because it
yeah.
asks us to review things like what you mentioned about the boundaries that we wouldn't have probably looked at before, or maybe
No.
not at this point. Okay, so tell us what were the most enjoyable parts, what was really fun to do.
So I do think the community is a massive part of it. And then having the check-ins with you was great because you knew that if you had an issue that you could just be
Yeah.
like, well, ask Aggie, or and then having the Slack channel. you can pop in any questions that you need. And even if you can't answer them, then somebody else might be
Yeah.
able to. It was just, this is going to, I know nobody is normal, but it was nice just to do it and just come out of bloom and just feel normal again. It's like, well, this is what I felt like last year, and this is now how I feel again. So it totally works. And there isn't really a way to describe how it is when it's because it's all encompassing, and it
Mm,
fixes your health, your mental health, how
mm,
you see yourself going forward, and just all the tools that you gave us
mm.
are amazing. And it totally works.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was a little bit skeptical at first. I was like, oh, I don't know. It's a long time to commit to something,
Yeah.
and will I fit it in? And yeah, you managed to fit it all in, and it's amazing how easy it is just to integrate it into your everyday life. You don't
Mm,
have to time out specifically for it. It's just
yeah.
something that you then do in your daily routine.
Absolutely. And it doesn't become this chore and this thing
No,
that you have to tick off, but more a new way of living, right? So, like, I am a huge fan of this way of healing that, in small changes that we make over a longer period of time, we just basically become this new person, but without feeling like we've changed a lot of things, but we become change at the end. So,
it just feels like you've kind of found yourself again.
mm, mm,
And I know for a lot of people that I did bloom with, there was people that had taken up running again, and they were super happy to run a 5K that they hadn't done for ages, and everyone was just like super positive about everything. I don't think there was one negative thing. And
mm.
if somebody was feeling down, then other people would help and lift them up and just be like, oh, it's just a setback. Just don't stress about it. Just move on, and it'll be better next week.
So was there anything that you found really difficult or something that like took you a little bit of time to like, get on board with maybe?
Um, I think maybe to begin with was to just share with other people what you're going through, because that can be quite hard, especially if people you don't know. And
Mm, mm.
so, like, yeah, speaking, I found it really awkward. I think the first time we did like an all group
Yes, yes.
session, and you had to have I hated that. like speaking about yourself in front of like however many other people were on that call. I was like, that just made me super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's something that you have to do, and it got easier. But
Yeah.
yeah, that first one was challenging.
Yeah, yeah, but look how much you spoke in this call about the healing power of the community. And that
Yeah,
is only possible when you're vulnerable and you share the parts of yourself that you've been hiding for so long, because that's when the healing happens to openly, just come as you are with all your things that you've been maybe not sharing. And it's
yeah,
things that you've been uncomfortable to share before. And I fully get you. Like I'm the same. Like I'm not someone in groups who's like the first person to like, just tell everyone everything. And I think a lot of people who join Bloom are not like group people, so they're not someone who would identify as I'm great with group programs, but they leave the program being a group person. It's just at
yeah,
least in the thyroid reality, they become that someone who really enjoys other people, other women on the same journey, which I think is
yeah.
it's we keep circling back to that, but I think it's just so, it
I
really
think
is so important.
because you always feel kind of alone with it, like you're the only person that's going through it. So to know that other people are going through the same journey, or not quite the same journey, but are at the same point in their journey,
Yeah,
is really helpful, because at the time you're like, I know nobody else with a thyroid condition. I have nobody to talk to about this, because nobody understands how I'm feeling,
yeah,
or why I'm suddenly like really grumpy and don't want to speak to anybody.
Yep. No, we've all been that, and having a little bit of that reassurance was just not me. It's normal. It's just a part of the process. I think it's just invaluable. All righty. So, what would you say? You kind of already touched on that, but if a lot of people are watching this, kind of sitting at home thinking, "Oh, I don't know if I should do this," because like you said, it's not a small financial commitment, big time commitment. What would you say to someone who's like on the fence, sitting, thinking, should I do
Well,
it?
I was on the fence a little bit as well, because of both of that, because of the commitment and the financial aspect. But I would say just go for it. You cannot put a price on your health,
Mm,
and it honestly will change your life. it is the best thing that you can choose to do. If you're almost thinking maybe yes, it might work, it will definitely work for you. Absolutely. I cannot convince you any more than that, but it has changed. It's changed my life since I've done Bloom, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. You cannot you cannot put a price on your health, which I've said about 100 times, but
Mm.
it's so true. And you'll find a great community. IE is super helpful. It's not, you don't ever feel judged, or yeah, just do it. Don't think about it. Worry about it later. Worry about the money later. Just do it. You will honestly not regret it.
Thanks so much for saying that. That is a great message if someone is thinking whether to do it or not. And I know myself as well, like I've done things obviously from my own healing journey, but also other things in life where I was just like, would it be worth it? And there is such a huge cost attached also to staying where you are and not changing anything. And like
Yeah.
you said yourself, like what is the price on how, like there isn't, it's price, it's invaluable. It will change everything for better, not just your health, but your entire life, right? So,
Definitely. And as I said before, yeah, the commitment, it feels like a long time, but it's not. It goes past really quickly.
and you need that time as well. Like you
You
can't
need that time
hope
because you're not
to
rushed.
exactly, and you really can't hope to start unraveling those deeper root causes if we were only there for like a few weeks, right? Like you need time to do it at the right pace, but also to allow your body to heal, because it took however long to get to that point, right? So we need to allow that time for healing as well.
And then it's exciting because you can see it and you can feel it happening as you go through. So you know it's working.
Yeah. Yes. The reward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Reward is kind of that. Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. It was such a pleasure to chat to you and see you and catch up with you because we've had a little bit of a break. So I was really happy when you messaged me and you told me how well you're doing. And thank you again for agreeing to chat to me today. And yeah, I'll hope to chat to you very soon.
No problem. You're very welcome.
And good luck with all your upcoming races.
Thank you.
Bye.
Later.